Okay, how's it going, everybody? So, we got some more V.I. Lenin here to read today. This is some more of his pamphlet, Revolutionary Days. Um, this is the third section. This is the plan of the St. Petersburg battle. It's, like the other ones, it's pretty short. He's probably kind of keeping things short because, there's kind of a big thing going on right now. Making sure there's enough for, that they can get it out in time. So let's go ahead and get into this. The plan of the St. Petersburg battle. It seems strange at first glance to refer to the peaceful march of unarmed workers to present a petition as a battle. It was a massacre. But the government, by the way, I'm not sure if I said at the beginning, this is in 1905. Maybe I did say that. This is in 1905. Okay. It was a massacre, but the government had looked forward to a battle, and it doubtlessly acted according to a well-laid plan. It considered the defense of St. Petersburg and of the Winter Palace from the military standpoint. It took all necessary military measures. It removed all the civil authorities and placed the capital with its 1.5 million population under the complete control of the generals, headed by Grand Duke Vladimir, who were thirsting for the blood of the people. The government deliberately drove the proletariat to revolt, provoked it by the massacre of unarmed people, to erect barricades in order to drown the uprising in a sea of blood. The proletariat will learn from these military lessons afforded by the government. For one thing, it will learn the art of civil war. Now that it has started the revolution, revolution is war. Of all the wars known in history, there's a mistype of a space there. In history, of all the wars known in history, it is the only lawful, rightful, just, and truly great war. This war is not waged in the selfish interest of a handful of rulers and exploiters, like any and all other wars, but in the interests of the masses of the people against the tyrants, in the interests of the toiling and exploited millions upon millions against despotism and violence. All detached observers now are of one accord in admitting that in Russia this war has been declared and begun. The proletariat will rise again in still greater masses. What is left of the childish faith in the Tsar will now vanish as quickly as the St. Petersburg workers change from petitioning to barricade fighting. The workers everywhere will arm. What matters is that the police will keep a tenfold greater watch over the arsenals and arms stores and shops. What matters is that the police will keep a tenfold greater watch over the arsenals and arms stores and shops. No stringencies, no prohibitions will stop the masses in the cities once they have come to realize that without arms they can always be shot down by the government on the slightest pretext. Everyone will try his hardest to get himself a gun or at least a revolver, to conceal his firearms from the police and be ready to repel any attack of the bloodthirsty servitors of Tsarism. Every beginning is difficult, as the saying goes. It was very difficult for the workers to go over to the armed combat. The government has now forced them to it. The first and most difficult step has been taken. An English correspondent reports a typical conversation among workers in a Moscow street. A group of workers was openly discussing the lessons of the day. "Quote-unquote hatchets," said one. Quote, "No, you can't do anything with the hatchet against the saber. You can't get at them with the hatchet any more than you can with the knife. No, what we need is revolvers. Revolvers at the very least, and better still, guns." End quote. Such conversations can be heard now all over Russia, and these conversations after Vladimir's day in St. Petersburg will not remain mere talk. The military plan of the Tsar's uncle, Vladimir, who directed the massacre, was to keep the people from the suburbs, the workers' suburbs, away from the center of the city. No pains were spared to make the soldiers believe that the workers wanted to demolish the Winter Palace by means of icons, crosses, and petitions, and kill the Tsar. The strategic task was simply to guard the bridges and the main streets leading to the palace square. And the principal scenes of, quote, military operations, end quote, were the squares near the bridges, the Troitsky, Samsonevsky, Nikolaevsky, and Palace bridges, as well as the streets leading from the working class districts to the center, the Narvskaya Sastava, the Schlerselberg Highway, and Nevsky Prospect. And lastly, the palace square itself, to which thousands upon thousands of workers penetrated in spite of the massed troops and the resistance they met with. Military operations were, of course, rendered much easier by the fact that everybody knew perfectly well where the workers were going, that there was but one rallying point and one objective. The valiant generals attacked, quote-unquote, successfully an enemy who had come unarmed and made his destination and purpose known in advance. It was a dastardly, cold-blooded massacre of defenseless and peaceful people. For a long time to come, knew the masses will think over and relive in memory and in story all that took place. The sole and inevitable conclusion drawn from these reflections from the assimilation of, quote, Vladimir's lesson, end quote, in the minds of the masses will be a la guerre come a la guerre. The working class masses and, following their lead, the masses of the rural poor will realize that they are combatants in a war, and then the next battles of our civil war will be fought according to plan, but no longer according to the plan of Grand Dukes and the Tsars. The call to arms, which sounded among a crowd of workers in Nevsky Prospect on January 9th, cannot die away now without reverberation. Okay, yeah. That was the plan of the St. Petersburg battle. It's a part of V.I. Lenin's 1905 pamphlet Revolutionary Days. So thank y'all for listening and reading with me. You get follow Marxist Thought Facebook, Twitter, and here on YouTube, or in YouTube also. If you want to, donate to my work or donate to the readings, I really appreciate it. It'd be paypal.me/Marxist Thought. I really appreciate it. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you want to share this video, that's another great way you can, or share the video, or wherever you see this at. It's another great way to help out, help elevate consciousness, help elevate class consciousness, and introduce, and I guess bringing Marxist Leninist science to the minds of the people. So thank y'all for reading with me. Y'all have a great day, and the data go in.